As somebody who regularly helps people with their family history, it's quite surprising sometimes that people can't find the records that are clearly there in many of the different databases available. Most of the people I deal with, or many I would say, use Ancestry, and it strikes me that many people who use Ancestry are not quite sure about how best to search for records. So I've put together 3 small videos that discuss various search strategies within Ancestry. The first one will be profile, the one we're listening to now. The second one will be searching using a catalog. And the third one will be clean searching. It's important that you understand as an Ancestry user how to get the best out of Ancestry. It's an expensive tool, and you need to make the most of it.
Let's take a look at Ancestry search functionality. Here I am in a tree, a very small tree, and I can click on a person in a tree and I can execute an Ancestry search directly from a tree. But most people search from the profile, so let's go to Ernest Hemingway's profile. On his profile there are 3 search keys. Tree search, which we can ignore for now, that allows us to search for people within a tree. Search on Ancestry, and search. Search and search on Ancestry together with a search on the tree basically take us to the same place. So let's execute a search on Ancestry for Ernest Hemingway. So the search is completed and I find all results for Ernest Hemingway. And there are 28,000, nearly 29,000 results in this particular search. How did Ancestry know where to search? Well, basically it took criteria from the profile. And we see this in the box on the top left hand side where it says your search, with a number of criteria, and the data for that criteria is taken from the profile. The top 7 criteria here have got slider bars, and I can change the type of criteria from broad to exact. So for instance, born 1899, that's currently broad. I can take that to within 2 years or 1 year if I'm confident I know Ernest Hemingway's actual date of birth. And if I simply just apply this change and search, the records come down substantially. And I can change all this criteria from broad to exact. But be very careful, as we know many genealogical records contain errors. And if I emphasize exact, I may miss some very important records. Let me click on this pencil here in the search criteria and it shows all the different criteria that are taken into account. Now broadly speaking, the more important criteria at the top, like name, date of birth, date of death. As we go down, the criteria is less of an impact on the search. And I can delete this criteria, or I can actually change the criteria if I wish. At the bottom of this search criteria is the focus areas. Now I can focus on a collection area, such as United States or Germany. I can search all collections. I can search by ethnicity. Or I can include certain record types. So here all record types are included, but for instance, if I was not interested at this stage in photos and maps, I could click that and the next search will not include photos and maps. So let's go ahead and do a search without photos and maps on Ernest Hemingway. And we can see the numbers come down again substantially to 351. Below the search criteria are the filters. And this is a very important aspect of searching. I can click on a filter and just look at the record set that filter includes. And I can filter by type, location or date. And on the right hand side are the number of records involved in that criteria. So if I just clicked simply on census, I would get 22 records here. If I clicked on 1920s, the number would drop even further. Only 8 records this time. This is how you would deep dive into the records that you're interested in. So let me clear the filters for now and go back to 351. On the right hand side, the results are given. The first results, if the trees are included on the search criteria, are trees. We won't consider trees right now because it's a very complex area. So let's go down to the actual records found. There's 2 keys here, browse by collection and active. Let's look at active. What does active mean? Well, currently I've got 2 records embedded into Ennis profile. I have a 1910 census, federal census record, and I have a photograph. Active, when it's active, these records are not included in the record sets that are presented to me. So the 1910 census is not included here. And we can see that's true by taking active away, and now it becomes inactive. And we can see 1910 census, this is currently saved to your tree, and I reviewed it 2 days ago. Other records I can see is in my hints. If you notice, the number has changed to 355. I'll go back to inactive to active. I can also browse by collection. So let me click browse by collection. Again, this is very useful because it breaks down the results in the same way as the filters. So if we see that census record now at 22, either on the filters or on the breakdown. A particularly useful aspect of this is if I click on the subset category, let's say here, it gives me information where I can start making a decision about whether this record is actually appropriate without me actually having to go and look at each record in turn. There's one thing I'd like to look at specifically about women as well. So let's come out of Ernest Hemingway and have a look at Ernest Hemingway's wife. And again, we'll execute a search on Hadley Richardson using the search key. And we'll look at the criteria that has been brought across from the profile. As we can see, both her maiden name and married name are here. If she'd been married twice, which she had been, I believe, a third name would be here. Now I can delete this, Richardson or Hemingway, if I'm just interested in a post-married or pre-married life. So let me delete Richardson and execute a search. Now primarily just Hemingway records appear. I could go back and adjust it again and add Richardson. And execute a search just on Richardson. If you notice, there are some records that look like the Hemingway here, but what we'll find is if we break into the record, there's Richardson. So that's why it brought this record up, although the title is actually Hemingway. And we'll go back to Hadley here. So this is profile searching. The benefit of profile searching is you don't need to think about all the factors that you need to include in your search. Ancestry does this for you as we search, and then you can manipulate the factors that are of interest to you. Again, we can just change the dates, or in fact the locations. And we can even focus on the name. We don't want to see anybody other than people called Ernest, and apply that. So This is how you manipulate your searches. This is using what I would call Ancestry's profile search capabilities. Next, we'll look at catalog searches and what I would call clean searches.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you got some valuable tips and tricks from it. Don't forget to like the video and watch the other two videos, catalog searching and clean searching. Have a very successful family history search. Thank you.